Well, welcome everybody back to the channel and to the International Racing League. It's time for our penultimate round of the season. It's round 15 of 16, and we're at the Melbourne Albert Park circuit for the Australian Grand Prix with a sprint race for you as well. We missed last week on the stream thanks to an illness that I was suffering, so I do apologise for that, but the more things stay the same, it seems to be with Merck picking up win number 10 of the 14 so far out in Texas, securing that only 1.1 seconds ahead of the relentless Ricky Maru, and he continues to push and try and get that win over Merck. Ricky already in the chat, and so is Floydie. Welcome to both of you and to everybody else watching. Alpha Alex took home the last step of the podium with Bjorn Intrinsic, Milan, Ivan Beloff debuting with us, Smoke also, and then Speedy Spud and ARL rounding out the top 10. So picking up points for that for their teams and for themselves in the Drivers' Championship. As things stand, as far as my calculations are concerned, Ricky has to win, like no doubt at all. But he has to rely now most definitely on Merck having an uncharacteristic bad time. He needs to finish this event 52 points within 52 of Merck, and that is no mean feat because he's currently 64 points away. So Merck has 10 wins. He has 295 points, and Ricky Maru has 231. We have Moist in third on 156, stepping up now as the season draws towards its end. Then we have Milan in fourth on 149. ARL has 140 with Speedy Spun on 105 points. We also have Alpha Alex on 85, Ole on 75 with Bjorn on 48, doing very well, having joined us pretty late into the season. Leon has 39. The lesser spotted Leon at the moment with Sticky and Floyd Pink, with Marco and Floyd Pink tying on points right now. We're going to go straight into one-shot quali though for our sprint race, and it's always a bit of a scramble for me to get on with the screen. We then also have Entronsic on 20 points, Nike on 19, or Davy Norris, or son of Chuck Norris. And he keeps changing his name. The captain, the man of 1,000 names. Atsu has 18 points. Jaffa Jake 12. Chuck Norris, senior here, has 7. Ivan picked up 6 in his first race. Smoke has 4. Respond has 2. And we're waiting to see Unsku, who joins us for the first time tonight as well. Great to see the league growing. I'll take you through the Constructors' Championship, I think. But I will have to mop up the tail of that if I can actually get it to load on my screen. My Discord will not show me the Constructors' Championship. I might have to leave that as a mystery for everybody until next week, because it's definitely not showing up for me. But good to have Nike with us, David Norris, who's just woken up. Ricky apparently has 0 practice. I'm just waiting for all the drivers to get their excuses in before we get going. So just populate us with an original excuse in the live chat if you're with us as well. But we look forward to this race. Like I say, the target really for the championship, for the victory, is for Ricky to take a huge gap of points. Ideally, I mean, at very least, I think he needs a second place plus fastest lap from Merck. Now, those I chuckle because Merck has scored heavily. He's won almost every race he's contested, every Grand Prix he's contested, not every sprint. But the only person to beat Merck on track this season was our double world champion from the first 2 seasons, Moist. Ricky, as far as I know, has not yet overcome Merck in a Grand Prix setting, so and taken the W. So he'll be desperate to tick that one off before the end of the season. But I'm kind of expecting here, 69 points ahead, kind of expecting to see us be able to crown our third world champion only our second individual champion of the history of the International Racing League. We're going to get going then here at Albert Park with a very unhelpful camera view from the outset. And let's see who is leading away. Well, best preparation of the lap went to Atsu, with Ungsku straight up into the lead of this one, and that's a great debut for him. I'm going to hang out for Merckx for the first sector, perhaps, because he usually is pretty good, although I have to say Moist is probably the strongest one-shot qualifier that we have. Through into turn 5, should be flat out in F1 22 before then just drop a couple of gears into turn 6 and 7. It does look like that Moist is going to be the man here at the start of this one-shot qualifying session. Now, since 2021, it is flat out all the way down this snaking long section before you hit turn 9. Again, just a tiny drop of a gear through each corner generally, although Moist stayed in 7th gear to minimize loss of traction. We head down towards turn 11 now, newly profiled, much sharper than it used to be, but it still isn't really an overtaking opportunity. A little bit of outwash there from Moist as he gets understeer mid-corner through turn 12, but 13 and 14 come in very quick succession round the pit lane entry and off to finish the lap. Moist, I think, is going to take a pole position once again, but by less than a tenth of a second from, it looks like, Bjorn has managed to secure 2nd position on our sprint race grid. We'll be heading straight into the sprint race as well after we go through the results. 78 thousandths of a second was all Moist held on to that pole position by 16.5 for both drivers, with Ricky Maru in 3rd position. Merckx scored 4th, Speedy Spud in 5th, then Atsu and the son of Chuck Norris, Davey Norris, Captain Nike, in 7th. We have Sticky, we have Chuck in 8th and 9th, with the Scots Marco and Floyd Pink in 11th. Ungsku debuting with us, unfortunately got himself disqualified from qualifying. I did see his name popping quite high early on in the lap, but it looks like it just wasn't quite to be for Ungsku. He's going to have to do this from the back, and they're actually going to make him start in 20th, it seems, with a DSQ. It should be in 12th position, really. So he said he hates one shot in the driver chat. Lots of drivers will echo that. But it's the only way to get through a sprint race setup within our time limit here tonight. So, yeah, Ricky said he was 0.4 down by the first corner. So obviously his prep out of the final corner, which is now turn 14, wasn't where it needed to be. And we look forward to seeing the drivers. My apologies for any problem with my voice. My voice is still recovering after a sort of 2-week-long virus. Not that virus, but yes, we're going to get straight into it, says Speedy Spud. So everybody should have got their setup sorted before qualifying. So there's not much to wait around for. We'll go from the sprint race straight into one-shot quali for the feature, and then we'll have our traditional snack and bathroom break. And I'll announce the start time for the live viewers as soon as I know it. We're still waiting on somebody to press go. Obviously, moved away from everything. Here we go then. 5 lights for the sprint. They come in a funny order. A long hole before it is drop the clutch and go, go, go. Moist nicely away from the start of the race. Bjorn struggling a little bit with wheel spin, and Ricky straight up there into 3rd position. Merckx struggling from the start, but it's Moist holding on to 1st position. Not always the best place to be on the long run down into turn 3. It looks like Bjorn de Boer is right alongside once again, and a bit of a tail slide there from Moist, and he just secured the 1st position. Now we're going to feed single file through, and I think you've also got Atsu scoring very well in qualifying and starting well as well in and right there with his teammate doing the job for the Sauber Kick Stake F1 team, already into 4th and 5th position. Behind them, Speedy Spud, son of Chuck Norris, has moved up well, and Chuck Norris himself into 8th position. Ungsku from the back into 9th. Nightmare for Floyd Pink, for Stickies particularly, who has had some problems there. Now we can actually start getting our screens organised and understand where everybody sits. There we go. Okay, so we have a 1-place climb for Atsu which is right behind his teammate. We have a 4-place drop for Sticky and a 3-place climb for Unsku. So a nice start for several drivers. Sticky, the big loser, you have to say, through the first phase, is only 10 laps here in Melbourne. And Moist picks up the first fastest lap, of course, as the leader tends to do at the start of lap 2. Looked like Bjorn just making a little bit of a nuisance of himself. DRS will be enabled very quickly here during lap 2 for our drivers, but Moist just commanding his position. Now, this is Moist. This is vintage Moist from seasons 1 and 2. And he's back on top. He got a win under his belt, and all of a sudden, he's back in an Alonso-esque driving style in the Aston Martin, and he's very comfortable in that Aston Martin seat. Clearly made great friends and with Lance Stroll and Lawrence as well. Oh, that was contact with the Mercedes. It looks like the Mercedes went onto pause or ghosted for a moment. That might have complicated matters. Ricky Maru trying to muscle through here, and he's fully alongside Merckx. Ricky giving good space on the exit for Merckx, and I think a misjudgment potentially touching the Mercedes, and it looked like he managed to recover a potential spin. And I don't wish to speak out of turn here, but it looked like Bjorn pressed the pause button in order for the AI to take over and recover from the spin. Here he comes, though, with the DRS straight away down the inside and taking the first position on lap 3 of 10 in our sprint race. And Moist being forced to make his own arrangements, loses momentum through the first corner. Ricky closing in under braking, trying to hold on down through into the next switchback turn, and Moist turns first into third by being overtaken, and then straight back on with Ricky following through, thanks to that losing of momentum as they run through. But Merckx not able to make the move just yet. Let's have a look at tyres at this stage. Well, medium tyres for everybody with the exception of Sticky, who I think has pitted in order to repair the damage caused to the car. Running through turn 9 and 10, and Bjorn having a problem through the corner. Ricky already passed, and an overtake before they hit turn 11. It was very, very unusual. We've got lots of tyre smoke coming in the background of the corners, and that was Moist being overtaken by nearly the entire field. Moist from the lead of the race all the way down to 10th. And if you say anything about Moist and and our sprint races, it has been a bit of a bête noire for Moist. Bjorn de Boer is back on the pace though after that issue, and Ricky is right with him. Ricky leading us around, and he's just kicking up some tyre smoke of his own as he's pushing hard to try and repel Bjorn. He's going to hope that Merckx has a problem in the sprint race, and he can take a big haul of points out of the champion-elect's collection so far. Speedy Spud is in 4th position. Unsku up to 5th place, and he obviously didn't maximise one shot, but in the Ferrari, he's certainly screaming around Albert Park during our sprint race, and he's locked up behind Speedy Spud. Will he be able to make a move? He declines the opportunity to overtake into turn 9 and 10. Might go again, though. Might be able to focus on his exit, and he's got this great overspeed. Here he go into turn 11, and takes a big amount of apex curb and leaves a little bit of room on the exit as well. And through he goes. And now it's Speedy Spud suffering, and he might lose a position here to the son of Chuck Norris in the Alpine. Alpine versus Haas. They go side by side. It looks like potentially Speedy Spud will have the grip on the exit of the corner, but we are not done. They're both able to use DRS, and he's sweeping into turn 1. Speedy just holding on to his 5th position and holding on to DRS with the car in front. Unsku has a 3.4 second deficit, and Atsu being bullied around the corner, trying to find a way past Chuck Norris's son. But a 3-second penalty for Speedy Spud. We've also got penalties for Atsu and for Marco, who is not exactly doing the heavy lifting in the Aston Martin Constructors' Championship point haul so far. But the top 3 separated by about 1.2 seconds in total, with Ricky Maru leading them and he can still see the lime green of the Kick-Sauber of this great rival and phenomenal driver Merckx, who has won 10 Grand Prix so far this season. And a slide from Bjorn, and he's really feeling the pressure, and he's completely out there, and again ghosts after losing control. I'm just wondering if that's becoming a bit of a pattern. Other drivers will absolutely point the finger if they feel aggrieved about it. Ricky has a gap of 0.8 of a second, and he's sliding around through the curb of turn 2 to try and extend that gap and repel Merckx, who is on his on the job here of trying to follow and trying to catch that DRS. Looks like Ricky really suffering with rear deg or over temperatures. The temperature's too high on that rear axle, and he's just losing the rear end. And so often in this season, Ricky has pushed so hard to stay with Merckx that he's ended up committing a track limit penalty. 3 infractions, and you pick up a +3 second penalty. Look at Merckx and his exit out of turn 8, and he's already round the outside and through. That was blindingly fast from Merckx. He will suffer on the exit slightly. Ricky just focusing on that exit, but Merckx, unfortunately for Ricky, gets a second bout of DRS on the approach down to the tight turn 11, and Merckx, now Ricky will have to focus on following Merckx and trying to keep those tyre temperatures under control, because they have been pretty problematic for him. As we see, typical in F1 24, an awful lot of tyre smoke for our drivers. This then is Unsku in the Ferrari, leading Speedy Spud and kind of dragging the field towards the hunt for the podium for this sprint race, although they don't actually stand on the podium, do they, for the top 3 photograph opportunity that they get in the sprint race. But here he is, Unsku, just trying now to try and get closer and closer to Bjorn, who is some 2.5 seconds off that top 2 battle. I'll keep my eye on the top 2 and their gap at the moment. But Bjorn in 3rd position. We have further down in the next triplicate battle, we have Chuck Norris in the Red Bull, Atsu in the Sauber, followed by Floyd Pink in the other Red Bull. And how I think this might be the first season that we've seen both Norrises in the same team, so it's really interesting to see them. Obviously, Chuck has managed to get past Floyd has managed to get past several drivers. Moist dropped down to 10th position, and I wonder whether he's picked up some damage, because he's not really circulating at the right kind of pace. He's looking for World Championship points. He's not going to get any, finishing in 10th place, as Marco down in 11th and Sticky down in 12th. And it's a long, lonely drive for Sticky. But we're on lap 8 with the leaders, and we head into turn 3 and 4 with Merckx and Ricky Maru. And the gap is only half a second between these two great rivals. This has been the most epic 1v1 rivalry of a long season that I've ever witnessed in nearly 600 races that I've commentated over. So Atsu is picking up a 3-second time penalty. Ricky's got an amazing run here. He'll get a second batch of DRS. Just needs to keep the exit in mind here, coming through the chicane, and potentially might be ready to challenge for an opportunity. Fakes a move to the inside. Merckx isn't buying that at all and just holds firm and steadfast into the next corner. Let's see if Speedy Spud can overtake Unsku, but not quite. Behind him, son of Chuck Norris, Davy Norris, in 6th place in the Alpine. The solo Alpine is trying to capitalise on any issues that might befall our drivers. Sticky has picked up a penalty at the back of the grid, unfortunately for him. But we're on to lap 9 now. Just this one and one more to go. But Ricky, just 1/4 of a second away on the approach into turn 3. We'll see if Ricky gets close enough. He certainly doesn't seem to struggle to stay with Merckx in this one. It looks like Floyd Pink has retired from the session. Can we see where Floyd Pink actually is on track? It's coming out of turn two. So presumably losing the car. Son of Chuck Norris has crashed as well. I thought we might have a VSC, but he has just slowed to allow several drivers through. So a very confusing sequence of events here. We're still on the penultimate lap with the two leaders as we join Ricky Maru on board, and we've got that DRS now. Can we launch a move down the inside? It does look like Merckx is well trimmed out from downforce. So Ricky, that's why Ricky is not struggling to stay with Merckx, but in terms of top speed, he is definitely struggling to get within the striking distance of a big overtake. Albert Park really suffers for a lack of big braking events. Atsu lost control and I hit him, says Floyd. Right, okay, one of those difficult situations when you're so close to another driver. Ricky, no way through into turn two. Unsku is knocking on the door of the podium, might get there by the end of the race. I don't want to miss a potential move from Ricky, though, as we're on the final lap of the sprint, trying to keep everything under control. But he might have to surprise Merckx, because so far, Merckx has absolutely had the measure of him through turns 9 and 10 and down towards the braking zone of turn 11. He's just got to hope that Merckx suddenly makes a mistake, but that is a vain hope often. Here he is then, Ricky. You can get a good slipstream through this section. He might need to draw alongside or put Merckx offline on the way into the chicane. Merckx, though, is impeccable as usual. Ricky with a good run through the corner, maybe the touch of a slide on the way in the middle of the corner. Merckx takes the middle line on the way into the final real braking zone and final real overtaking opportunity. It's not going to be. Unsku has leapfrogged Bjorn de Burt before the end of the lap even. He looks like he's got some tremendous pace if he can qualify well. Or we have the longer race, but it looks like it's going to be a sprint race victory for Merckx, and it's going to be Ricky Maru into second position. So the almost impossible task for Ricky has just become a virtual certainty that it's impossible. Unsku in third, Bjorn de Boer in fourth, with I would say a little question mark there for me. Moist has managed to pick up sixth after running 10th for so long. Chuck Norris in seventh, and then we have Davy Norris, or the son of Chuck Norris, in P8 with the final sprint race points. Atsu crosses the line in P9, and unfortunately problems befell both Marco and Sticky. We'll wait for them to cross the line and finish off our sprint race. Sticky almost 2/3 of a lap behind the leader Merckx, but Marco to take the 10th position. Sticky will be certainly 11th, but it is Merckx versus Ricky Maru. Merckx back on top again, but converting a sprint race victory this time. Had to make up some places, did a good job making up those places. So we'll just check that, actually up 3, but Unsku, the star of the show, debuting with us and gaining 9 positions in the sprint race. So if he can hook up a good qualifying, who knows what he's going to achieve in the race itself. Maybe he'll even be able to challenge the great Merckx and Ricky Maru, and we might see Moist in the mix as well, as he typically qualifies very, very well. Let's confirm for you the provisional results, if that's a possible thing and not a contradiction in terms. We have Merckx picking up 8 World Championship points, so he should be now 70 clear of Ricky Maru. So Ricky needs a Merckx DNF, frankly, to really hold on to a chance of the championship. Unsku in third position, 6 points on his debut, with Bjorn de Boer in fourth, Speedy Spud in fifth, Strike Moist hits into 6th position, and followed by Chuck Norris and his son in 7th and 8th. Atsu, Marco, Sticky and Floyd go home pointless from the sprint, but there is a chance for more of more points to collect in the next race. But we will go straight into one-shot qualifying for the Grand Prix. Before then, we will obviously take our customary break to get underway. So let's see if Moist can get another pole position tonight. Will Merckx qualify better or have a stinker? But as I say, for Ricky Maru, needs to gain now 18 points on Merckx. So a second place and a Merckx DNF is the minimum that Ricky needs to try and keep this championship alive. It would then rely on a further DNF in Abu Dhabi, the Abu Dhabi double that will finish the season. I'm just going to check that, and I haven't got our race calendar incorrect, but I think we finish in Abu Dhabi. Where are we? My calendars aren't working. Here we go. No, we finish in Japan, excuse me, in Suzuka. So we'll be going for double points in Suzuka next weekend. Set a date on your calendars, or do what everybody does and subscribe to the channel, and you'll get our live race at 8 p.m. UK, Sunday, the 13th of October. We're going to be on our way. I just have to change setups for those that need to. Of course, they'll be managing longer stints, managing a heavier car. So there will be some tweaking the drivers will want to do with the car. But here we ride on board with host Speedy Spud. I think is why we keep getting Speedy Spud as the chosen one for the start. It looks like Ricky Maru stealing a lot of apex curb through turn 1 and 2, but away well. Brother Atsu is up into third for a moment, but then loses out on braking in a big way through the next phase of the corner. We'll go back to, let's look at Merckx at the moment, but Unsku is driving well in this one. And the one advantage of having already done the sprint race is you should be in a pretty good rhythm, which is the problem of one-shot quali for the sprint. Unsku leads us away then towards the middle of the one-shot quali lap. That second sector, not much to do. Just one real turn in that second sector before just pointing the car into the right direction. Through the chicane we go, and it's always a hold your breath moment through turn 9 and 10 because it's so easy to get wrong. A very wide entry for 11 for Unsku. He still holds on to the lead. Strike Moist, unfortunately, our double world champion, is out of the championship contention for the lead. And he's out of qualifying as well. Bjorneboer looks like in the final two corners he's going to secure pole position for the Grand Prix. No, Unsku got him by the tiny margin again. So Unsku debuting his first race meet with us, and he picks up the pole position for the Grand Prix. He'll be very pleased with that because he said he hates one-shot quali, and he picked it up by 0.006 of a second only. Amazing closeness between the two top drivers there. Bjorneboer then in second place, Ricky Maru in third, and he'll have a slight hope because Merckx DSQ'd during quali as Moist retired. In fourth place, son of Chuck Norris, Davey, with Speedy Spud in fifth, then Atsu and Marco. Chuck Norris himself in 8th position, Sticky in 9th, Floyd Pink in 10th, Strike Moist and Merckx will start on the back row together. So we'll look to see as they move their way forwards in the race, no doubt. But, of course, Merckx could end up picking up trouble or contact in any of that phase. So it is still potentially all to play for. We're on our way then for the Grand Prix. Get ready, folks. This should be a good one. Captain Nike saying he had a great race with Spud in the sprint, and Ricky saying he thinks he's forever the bridesmaid. Keep going, Ricky. You're not called Relentless Ricky Maru for nothing. So keep at it, and you'll get there, I'm sure. This one could be a W for you. Merckx starting down at the back of the grid. Should be an opportunity here to try and find a way through. 3, 4, 5 lights. It's ready to go for the Australian Grand Prix. And it's dropped the clutch and go, go, go. Or look at Amazon Race Strategies as we head down into the first corner. What great timing once again as Unsku leads away from the start and Ricky Maru fights with Bjorneboer as they struggle out to try and get grip on this early phase of the race. Ricky down into now second position and squeezing his way ahead, and the son of Chuck Norris also fully alongside Speedy Spud, but unfortunately coming out second best from that exchange. We've got Aston Martins in P9 and into P6, and it looks like Floyd Pink has retired from the session early on, and you can just see him at the back of the grid having lost a wheel. Floyd Pink out. Virtual safety car has been engaged. It gives me a chance to get my to get my screen sorted out every time we do a launch into a straight into a race. But position changes, not a great deal of position changes up and down the grid at this early stage of the race. Unsku started away on the hard tyres, and he is leading this race. Ricky Maru has medium tyres on board, and he will now see that that Unsku is on the hards and will get a hurry up. As soon as we go green flag racing, he needs to stay under the delta, as do all the drivers following, in order to be able to hit the loud pedal as soon as we go green, and it's right now, and Ricky could not be much closer to the back of Unsku. Will it be a hurry up? Merckx is only 10th at the moment. Here comes Ricky then to try and overtake, and presumably using a lot of electrical deployment to try and get away early on and into the lead of the race. A puff of smoke from the brakes. Unsku down to second. We've got Bjorn de Boer, who was fighting with Ricky early on, down into third position. Unsku is going to struggle to get those hard tyres back up to temperature, and that's probably what we're seeing here a little bit, is the mediums versus the hards after they've had a cooling phase under just a VSC for half a lap. We lost Floyd, unfortunately. I imagine he's still with us in live chat, so Floyd, you can give us an update if you're watching once you've finished finished getting blowing off some steam, I should imagine. But Ricky Maru is in first position, and my heart breaks because drivers spend all week practicing, some of them, in order to take part in half a lap of a Grand Prix. Ricky has a time penalty already. He is pushing so hard to break the toe, to get into his own rhythm, but he's now picked up a time penalty, which makes all that effort that he's gone through a little bit wasted. He still needs to try and extend the lead here, and a massive lockup from Ricky. And you can't fault him for pushing hard and trying, but perhaps just a little bit over the limit at this early point. Merckx still just in 10th position further down the order. In fourth we have Speedy Spud. We have Marco with Davey, Norris going for the overtake. Side by side they run, and Marco was very confident on his ability to brake and avoid the apex and avoid contact, but it looks like son of Chuck Norris is going to have a go here. Marco still holds Amra on the outside. He wants to try and sneak in the inside, but he can't quite do it. Atsu might get an overtake done here as well. On Marco, who loses momentum. Atsu is managing to get through here, and behind him he's got a Red Bull of Chuck Norris. He's got an Aston Martin of his teammate Strike Moist in 9th, and Merckx on the back of the grid, only on the medium tyres, biding his time here and doesn't want to get caught up in any accidents and incidents. I think he can afford a couple of slow laps with the pace differential he has in hand and the points advantage that he has as well. But round the outside as Merckx tries to I was going to say being conservative. That was not conservative at all. And there you see Moist already just indicating to Marco that it is about time that you move over for the championship leader, my friend. In our team anyway. And it looks like Marco is backing out of this. Unfortunately, I think he's going to lose out to Merckx. It just left the door too wide open. And again, I think perhaps the pressure Moist put on him has probably scared Marco out of an extra position for the team. It could have been handled a little bit better with the engineer in the background, but Merckx into 8th position with very much one hand on the trophy. We've got Moist, who's going to hand over that World Championship trophy to Merckx this season. It looks like, as a two-time world champion, the Maestro Moist will be handing over to the merciless Merckx in 8th position. Atsu up to 6th right now and doing a great job as well. Merckx with the fastest first sector. Atsu hounding here, and it looks like Ricky Maru has lost the lead to Unsku on the approach to the chicane. An unusual place to lose it, and Ricky plus 3 seconds as Unsku has now picked up the pace, got the hard tyres up into an operating window, and he can go as long as he needs to on those tyres. And he can wait for a safety car opportunity as well later into the race. And it's quite common in Albert Park. The walls are quite close by, and drivers are pushing incredibly hard on relatively low downforce. A lot of smog in the air over Melbourne, as Unsku, an 18.5 is the new fastest lap of the race. But Ricky, with the DRS, is able to put a lot of pressure on Unsku in the Ferrari, who moves to the inside just to dissuade a move coming. and then locks a brake into turn 3 and 4. Very close running, though, between Atsu and son of Chuck Norris. Atsu has overtaken the son of here, Davey, and he drops down to 6th place, and he's got some quality drivers behind him now, as Davey. I don't know how much attention he'll be paying to that. There is Moist picking up a +3 penalty, just as I compliment him. Unfortunately, I need to stop doing that to drivers, as Atsu has kind of moved to one side. Davey with the DRS through the snaking flat-out section that takes you from turn 7 all the way to turn 9. And Moist has got up to P6. Looks like Atsu is handing over the reins of team lead here at the race over to Merkt, who completes his move as well. So both drivers, Moist and Merkt, moving forward once again. But Ricky Maru is in 2nd place. Unsku holding the lead. Looks like Bjorn de Boer is going to have a good run, but both of them have DRS. Well, I say that, but the DRS hardly looked open on Ricky Maru's car, so he may have declined it or turned it off so as not to get too much overspeed into the first corner. I would doubt it. It might just be a glitch that we're seeing. It'd be very unusual for Ricky to turn off the DRS there in that situation with a rival behind him. Looks like son of Chuck Norris and Speedy Spud fighting hard with Davey on the inside. Spud on the outside becomes the inside for the next corner, and Speedy Spud holds him off as you've got double world champion and champion-elect looking to try and get themselves forward in the race. Typical strategy here from Moist as well on the hard tyres to start with. Likes to run long on the hard for the first stint. If possible, sneaks one round the inside and is looking 2 wheels on the grass on the way into turn 9. That was bold from our double world champion, reigning world champion Moist, and he's lost out slightly. Atsu is trying to snake around the outside. This is absolutely crazy races as we're down into the inside, and of course it all goes wrong in turn 11. That was Atsu coming off worst of everybody, but it looked like Chuck Norris having some problems on the way into the corner as well. The victor of all of that was the champion-elect Merkt, who just breezed on by all of it. And it all started with Moist going 2 wheels on the grass on the approach into turn 9 and trying to go side by side. Driver on the outside not wanting to relent at all, as Bjorn de Boer is trying a move on Ricky, and he's succeeding. Bjorn has gone through, and he's also on the hard tyres. It looks like the mediums have chewed away very quickly. Ricky has been struggling to keep them up to temperature, and Ricky will look in disbelief that on lap 7 Merkt is already the car most immediately behind him. There's a gap of 7.8 seconds, but he needs to significantly outscore Merkt, and it's not looking on at this stage of the race. But it's not all over until it's all over, and then maybe Merkt might do us a nice last to first challenge in the Suzuka finale of our season, perhaps. I'm suggesting, if he's already won the championship. But I know Moist, we were goading Moist into it, and he never actually rose to the challenge in the first 2 seasons. But maybe Merkt will take that challenge. Here they are in the midfield as we have Moist chasing Speedy Spud, trying to get past, and he's not making it quite as easy as Merkt made it seem. It's lap 8 of 29. Merkt has already opened up a 2.2 second gap in 1 lap from this group. That's absolutely incredible. And there we have an overtake from Bjorn for the lead of the race, as Bjorn finds some pace now and overtakes Unsku, who perhaps has overspent a little bit either on the tyres or the electrical deployment. But I think our winner will feature from one of these top 3. The pace has been absolutely electric. Merkt is in P4 and is 7.7 seconds away from a provisional podium position. And here comes Unsku then with a good run. Again, we'll be looking for a good exit out of turn 10 for an opportunity down into this tightened turn 11, but not close enough at this stage. I would imagine the medium tyres are starting to get to the worn out phase. I would have thought lap 11 to 15 is the window for the medium tyres to fade out. They'll try and stay on them as long as they possibly can. because they are significantly quicker in theory over their distance than the hard tyre, but the hard tyre does give drivers more and more confidence as they get deep into the race, especially as the softer compounds start to wear at a greater rate. The hard-running drivers just feel a little bit better in the car, and then they go onto a grippier tyre as well. 10-second penalty for Atsu, who retires from the session. Unusually for him, retiring early and voluntarily in the pit lane. So we've lost 2 from our 12 starters. Everybody guaranteed Grand Prix points then if they are able to finish the race from here on out. This is the battle for the podium, but there are other battles going on. I don't want to miss an overtake as Unsku gets closer and closer and closer, just 1/10 of a second away into the chicane. You can end up too close through here and not manage to get your exit good, but Ricky Maru is also incredibly close. Here comes Unsku down the inside. Ricky Maru might try and go through an open door on the inside. He doesn't quite have the overspeed, and Unsku made a bit of a meal of turn 11 and couldn't get the exit through there, as now Bjorn de Boer, it's his turn to catch the brakes on the way into turn 13, and we start lap 9 with our podium drivers at the moment, as Ricky Maru has the DRS, but it just doesn't look like it's opening on the V-carb. So I'll ask him after the race whether he was not able to use it or it was just not animating properly. Moist versus Merckx, what's happening here? Merckx has gone in the pits. Okay, so Merckx into the pits, the first medium driver to stop, and he's out on hard tyres, and he's got clear air and clear track, and that could be really important later on for his race. Wow, big sideways moment from the son of Chuck Norris, and he goes ghosted as well after losing the car. I don't like to see this. It's very suspicious from our drivers. As Unsku, too much apex curb through turn 10, will lose handfuls of momentum, handfuls of miles an hour on the way down into 11, but just had the gap, and he's clearly struggling on the tyres, despite the fact that he's only on the hard tyre and only 10 laps deep into his race. He's going to target lap 14 at very least to pit for mediums, as Ricky Maru comes in from the rearmost position of that top 3, and in he comes then for his pit stop. He'll switch to the hard tyre and try to go for the undercut himself as well. Speedy Spud comes into the pits, almost hits the pit wall, and Moist goes on through, passing Ricky, as did the Alpine in front of Davy Norris as they run in through the race and start lap 11. All the hard runners who have yet to stop are in the top 4 positions right now. Marco has hung out longest on the mediums from the start of the race, as Moist looking for a way through past the Alpine, who is defending hard, you have to say, at this stage. Oh, was that a little bit of debris coming off the potentially either the floor of the Alpine or more likely the front wing of Moist? I fear he got too close there, did Moist. Bjorn de Boer has dropped down, and they're side by side, the two leaders, as they run round the corner, around turn 11 into turn 12, and it should favour the Mercedes here on the left-hand side, but the Ferrari making it through. A great battle. Oh, but a huge tank slapper from Unsku on the exit of the final corner. That will do for him. There's no way of recovering that kind of loss on the way out of the final corner, so they have to tidy that up a little bit. Moist has got back past Davy Norris into third place on the road, but prior to the pit stops, of course. Remember, those medium starters are now on the hard tyre, getting them up to temperature and have a clear track. There's nobody to battle with in amongst that group. Here is, I think, the closest battle on the field so far, as Unsku has dropped out of DRS range to Bjorn de Boer. They're only 12 laps into their stint, and that gets me a little bit worried for Unsku's tyre deg over the race length. He doesn't want to have to stop this race, because that will drop him entirely out of contention virtually every 50% race we ever watch on the channel will be a one-stopper for the drivers. And we really need to do something about that. I'd love to be able to have tyre wear dials. And round the outside goes David Norris. Almost completed it, but Moist playing it very cool through the sequence and just waiting for Davey to kind of overcook the brakes and run out of road on the exit of turn 10. Through they go into turn 12, and now the gap starts to open out nicely for our double world champion as they wait, as Ricky Maru starts to catch the pair as well. And a two-way battle is going to become a three-way battle in any moment's time. But back to the lead as we're half a second only apart. Unsku has managed to recover back that DRS distance that he needed. He was 1.2 seconds away. And another huge slide from Unsku. A great save through turn 6 and 7. But unfortunately, it's not the quickest way of going racing. He's going to get that DRS because it happened. The slide happened after the detection point, and it's rescuing him at the moment. But you have to say, Beyond the Ball looking smoother through this race, and I haven't seen any ghosted moments going on in the Grand Prix. It might have just been a sprint race moment. Well, how about this? That's crazy times from Moist, from Ricky Maru, and Chuck Norris. Moist looking a little bit on the desperate side, perhaps. Lost an end plate here. He's going to lose a huge amount of front left downforce, and I think he'll be headed towards the pit lane for a second and unscheduled stop. No, it is his first stop, but it's going to be a full change of front wing. This is going to drop Moist down in the order, I fear. He's already got a +3 penalty on the car, as has Ricky and Marco. And into the pits we come. Going to have to be a little bit more conservative on the way into the pit lane. He does brake, and he's retired. Oh, I'm sorry to see Moist out, but he's going to feel like that damage was too much to repair. And out of the race goes one of the top contenders on pace alone. And just the three cars coming together. No one wanting to give anything, and there goes son of Chuck Norris out as well. We lost two drivers in the space of one sector, and we happen to be on board with Davey Norris. Unfortunately, a big spin coming on out of turn 3 and 4, and the gap out of turn 4 and 5, and he retires from the race. We go to a safety car. Who is this going to favour? Well, the front two should do well because they haven't yet stopped. I imagine everybody will take the opportunity for a fresh set of mediums. This is exactly heading towards that middle point of the race. So what will we see from the drivers? Obviously, Unsku and Bjorn will come in, but Ricky only on 3-lap old hard tyres, which won't be very healthy for the final stint. But I imagine light on fuel, the medium tyres will last to the end of the race. Almost looks a little bit indecisive, but I think that's the safety car delta happening live here for the drivers. And in they are probably all going to come. We will condense the field. I think we will have identical tyres for everybody as well. No one, I don't think, is going to try the softs. So I think we are going to see medium tyres. The gaps are too big to the lead group to actually gain any significant positions for everybody. So I think we're going to see everyone heading on into the pits. And then we will take a breather for the safety car. Into the pits comes Chuck Norris, Sticky and Marco. Going to have 8 runners after this safety car period. So we have a reduced chance of any further problems for the race, but and any further caution periods. But Marco in 5th could be scoring really big, and one of his best results of the season if he can hang on here. That's a big if, though, given what's happened already tonight from everybody else. Bjorn managed to get ahead in the pit stop phase, so managed to maximise that pit stop entry and get out ahead of Unsku. That could be because the Ferrari mechanics were waiting and making him wait for the drivers pitting just behind him. Atsu says, last race. Do you mean that's your final race of the season? You won't be performing for us next time out? or are you retiring from league racing? I hope not. But that's one option that you often see. Please tell me the stream hasn't ended. I'm getting worried now because my second device stream has turned off. Are we okay? I'm going to go on as long. Well, Atsu says good, so that's good. Okay, thank you. Just clarify for me, are you just not able to make next race? Is that the situation? Thank you, Atsu. Stream working, that's great to see. I appreciate it. I can't always rely on my pop-up overlay working for me, but that's great. It's the of 29. Unfortunately, I did have a aborted stream earlier on without a notification. That's why I'm a little bit nervous right now. We're going to be gathering up. As he says, season last race. Okay. Well, hopefully be able to put in the off-season training and be back for more next time. I'd love to see you and Ricky in the same. But safety car during lap 16, I imagine, will be coming in shortly at the end of this lap, and we will get underway for just under 50% distance. So slightly longer than we ran the sprint by 2 or 3 laps maximum. So the drivers will be well used to this. Marco has bucked the trend. He's stayed on his hard tyres. So you often see the drivers struggling on those hard tyres after they've regained, and that was a big stop at the front of the grid, and it has meant that the drivers have been a little bit caught unawares here and are struggling. We've had 4 retirements tonight at the Australian Grand Prix, so it has not been successful for some of the drivers, unfortunately. The order then: Bjorn de Boer and Unscoot, Ricky and Merckx, with Marco on the hard tyres alone, with then behind in 6th, Speedy Spud, Chuck Norris, and Sticky in the McLaren at the back of the grid, hoping to pick up more points than he managed in the sprint for sure, and he just needs to keep running to make that happen tonight. So ready to get racing, ready to go green. It all relies on Bjorn de Boer's exit of the final corner, and he does really well, actually. Puts in a nice gap. It's a nice smooth release from him. This is on board with Ricky as we look for an opportunity down the inside. Ricky driving without a teammate today to help, or a rear gunner, as it were, of ARL. So just trying to collect points for VCAR by himself, because we didn't actually get around to talking about our Constructors' Championship at the moment. I believe VCAR are in top. Nike said that was a big spin. Yeah, we were riding on board with you, Nike, and that was a hairy moment for sure. It's lap 17. Bjorn de Boer with a good green flag lap at the moment, and just extending that gap 0.4 of a second. And Unsku has more concern over Ricky behind him. Ricky also fully aware that there's a bright green Sauber of the champion-elect Merckx, and this safety car might well have meant that Merckx is on for a potential 11th Grand Prix win here this season, and that would be quite something if he pulls that off. And obviously will take home the championship trophy one race early as well, despite the fact that the next round is a double points edition. So as they exit the final corner to start lap 18, Bjorn de Boer has a small lead of 0.4 of a second, and then we have a DRS train in operation. It still looked like no one was using their DRS. There was no slot gap in the DRS rear wing, so maybe it hasn't been re-enabled this time round, but we will have very, very close racing, and Speedy Spud is right there with these leaders as well. Everyone on the same strategy, with the exception of Marco in 6th position. Sorry, my voice is fading fast as we round out the race. I've been trying to catch up on my commentary today, and perhaps overdone it a little bit. Ricky Maru in 3rd position then is chasing down Unscoot, very aware that he has to outscore Merckx in a big way. Unscoot right on the tail of the of the Mercedes. Are we going to see mayhem into turn 11 again? But this time from the leaders of the race. Ricky doesn't want Merck to launch a move down the inside. He might be forced into taking a stab at second positions. Unsku's Ferrari here, but not quite. Speedy Spud staying on the tail of this top 5, separated by just about 1.5 seconds. Absolutely fabulous to see here in this third season of the International Racing League. Bjorn de Boer stretching his lead away slightly, and the gap opening between Speedy Spud and the hard tyre shod Marco, who's doing very well to hold off Chuck Norris and Sticky at this stage. Unsku goes for the outside manoeuvre, and they tangle wheels as they fully break down into turn 3. Through turn 4, and Unsku is ahead, but Bjorn de Boer gamely hanging on, and he sees the W in his sights as he then rides the wall slightly on the exit. The drivers are going to be queuing up to pass Bjorn de Boer, and Ricky manoeuvres his way around as well. That was all just a little bit frantic from everybody. Unsku, Ricky, the new top 2. Merckx, it looks like, is going to get himself into third position. They've all got DRS as they run through into the chicane, and we still have the top 5 glued together at this stage, but it's Bjorn down into 4th position. It's Ricky going for the move round the outside for the lead of the race. Speedy going down the inside of Bjorn as well. Absolutely brilliant stuff to see. I have had a real treat of racing today to watch. Today's streams have been off the chain. I have to say, I've really had a great deal of fun. It's been too long for me without race day. Unsku is in second. Ricky Maru is in first position, and Merckx in third at the moment. Speedy Spud managing to get ahead of the leader of the previous lap, who's now in 5th place. Bjorn, he may have damaged the car. I need to be fair to him. He may have damaged the car running through there. It is not all on a lack of skill, but nothing visible as far as I can see. But Merckx is now hounding Unsku. Unsku doesn't really know what he's involved in here unless he's watched back the early races, but he's just joined us, and he is right in the melee of a championship showdown. Ricky desperately wants the W here to finish on the road ahead of Merckx. Will feel like a championship win as Merckx sweeps around the outside of Unsku majestically, you have to say. And maybe that will have to be his new nickname soon. But Unsku going for another move down the inside. This is the championship leader he's fighting with. He may not even know it, but that is part of being a champion, is having to drive with a target on your back. Bjorn and Speedy are side by side into turn 13 as well. This is fabulous racing between our elite of the International Racing League. As Bjorn de Boer is now back into 4th position. Ricky has an 0.8 of a second lead with 8 laps to go. Ricky knows the job in front of him. He also bitterly well knows the driver behind him, but he has a +3 second penalty, does Ricky. So he's going to have to start thinking about backing up Merckx, I think. I don't think he can stretch out to a 3-second lead. He's going to have to try and slow at strategic points on the racetrack where he can force Unsku to have a go and try and get the other drivers to pick up penalties himself, because Ricky could end up crossing the road first and finishing 5th in this current scenario. After that penalty he picked up. Here comes Merckx to the inside. Ricky will try and hold him off and does so. Merckx a little bit greedy there, an unusual place to try and do the move, and alongside it could have been catastrophe for those drivers as Unsku just gets the car through turn 11, almost tagged the back of the Sauber in front of him. Unsku is in that 3rd place. Ricky is slow through the corner. I don't know if Ricky's listening in and has decided to switch strategy and do what I suggested, and I would hate to think that that's the case, because I am no driver to take advice from. But he does appear to be slowing it in turn 13 and 14 slightly, or at least taking it pretty steady, maybe just focusing on harvesting the energy. As round the outside tries Merckx, Ricky has the inside line and fully locks up as they championship contenders bang wheels once again. Gently it was, but Ricky down into second as Merckx takes the lead of this race. And could he clinch the championship with a win? I wonder. I'm sure that's his target. He's never driven as if he's got pressure on his shoulders. Maybe the odd sprint race didn't go his way, but really he has been merciless throughout the season. Ricky fully alongside here and going for the overtake, should have the apex and can afford, I think, at this stage of proceedings to just get the elbows out, as we see behind as well. Beyond the board going from 5th into 3rd position provisionally, could even be 2nd with Ricky's penalty. Unsku down to 4th. I don't think this is run at all, this race between these 5. I think we have still some racing left to go as 3rd position. Ricky, I think that was Merck just locking up this time into turn 13 and 14. Bjorn de Boer queuing up behind Merck now. They both have DRS. Ricky peels to the inside. There was no move coming though. It's kind of wasted a little bit of effort there, but no harm done as Merck focuses on the exit. Ricky goes defensive again, and he needs to try and avoid that wheel banging situation. Unsku lost the car and spun. I don't think that looked like he was maybe hit from behind, but he may have just lost the rear end all by himself and drops down, but he could still recover this. Still only 1.7 seconds away. I don't think any of these drivers are operating at absolute full pelt here, because they're all in individual battles, so possibly Unsku could catch up. If Speedy Spud was considering stopping to let Unsku through, I think Unsku would be screaming at him to just get on with it, so that when he does let him through, it would be in the mix of this battle for a provisional podium. Merck retakes the lead ahead of Ricky, and Ricky is watching not only another bridesmaid situation happening, but potentially losing any contention for the overall champion of the season, as Merck will pick up sufficient points and do it in style if he can cross the line in 1st position. Ricky has so much work to do. Speedy Spud now has a +3 penalty on the car, so he will not overtake Ricky as a result of that. Ricky now with a +6. Wow. That is pretty huge, as Ricky picks up another penalty and just bonsais down into turn 3. Merck saw him coming, left a gap to the inside, and Ricky now has to go hell for leather and do his level best to try and finish at the front of this group if he can. Try and get those penalties taken off post-race, but it will be a very unusual situation if he manages to persuade the stewards that he's received 4 unnecessary penalties. But Ricky in that 2nd place now on the road, would love to finish on the road ahead of Merck, and Merck could well just afford to let Ricky go and not risk a DNF. For him, though, he might be thinking, if I were to DNF as a result of contact with Ricky, it's quite likely that Ricky would do the same, and we'd have a Red Bull Ring situation from F1 2024 with the 2 leaders crashing out together. So lap 24 of 29, we have 5 to go, as Ricky with the DRS has a great overspeed down towards turn 1. Isn't enough to draw alongside. Now Ricky's got to focus on Bjorn de Boer, catching him from behind as well, and potential move coming as 2 drivers lock up into turn 3. But we see that all the time here. And Ricky spins and does a Captain Nike, does a son of Chuck Norris, and hits the barrier. And it wouldn't surprise me now to see Ricky Marut give it up, unfortunately, but pushing incredibly hard. And you've got to say that Merck's championship would not look as good with as many wins as he's had if he didn't have Ricky following him and pressurizing him at kind of 80 to 90% of the time they've been on track together. Ricky has been right there in pace with Merck, but that could be the end of the championship battle. It could be the end of Ricky's race. And I don't know if Atsu's away next week, whether that means Ricky's away too, as they are brothers. But maybe Atsu has just decided that enough is enough. But will we see Ricky head to the pit lane, or will he try and finish this race? He's certainly going to head to the pits because he's completely missing a front wing. But it's a question of whether he retires or decides to carry on with us. So 5 are down to 3. Unsku picks up another penalty, trying to chase this group down. And it's now between Merckx in first, Bjorn in second for the win. And Speedy Spud is on equal penalties with Unsku. So I think that Speedy will provisionally get the podium here if you can hold on to this gap. We have 3.5 laps left to run. Ricky has pitted. He's come back out with fresh tyres. I imagine, no, he's in the pits now. Wow. What happened there? He's just dropped down the order again. He didn't even pit. Okay, he's trying to run the race on 0 front wing. Negative front wing, I should probably say. And he's just going to try and tour around looking like a Formula Ford car running at the front end of the kart. The kart is going to feel absolutely atrocious as he puts an overtake on Marco, who presumably made a mistake coming out of the chicane. But this is the battle then for the win. It is Bjorn de Boer versus the merciless Merckx, and the 10 Grand Prix winning Merckx of this 16 race season so far. This is round 15, one more to go, of course, and he could end up with 12 Grand Prix victories out of 16, and I'm sure that will be in his mind already. Can he do that? I remember Nigel Mansell only won 9 out of 16 in his phenomenal 1992 season. Just to put that in perspective, that driver on a complete another level with a car performance only managed to do that. So Merckx in a 16 race championship has performed phenomenally here at the International Racing League, and he debuted with us this season, no less as well. I think he missed the first race. We have Speedy in third position, and just to continue talking about Merckx for a moment, and I hope you'll forgive me, but he's only, as far as I know, been beaten in a Grand Prix once for a win when he has attended. So as far as his performances go, he has won 10 races of 11 attempts for the Grand Prix. That's just eye-wateringly good. So here is Bjorn, and there was the DRS opening and then closing again as he approached turn 1. He's quite happy in the slipstream, I think, of Merckx. I think he's preparing himself for a late manoeuvre, perhaps harvesting. Shall we be cheeky and have a little look at the difference between them in electrical available energy? We shall. Well, Merckx has an advantage in that regard at this stage anyway, as Bjorn is half a second only away here from Merckx. The only 2 drivers without penalties, Merckx and Bjorn. Everybody else is collecting them. Ricky is just is kind of toying with Marco a little bit. Marco now pits, presumably has some damage to repair. Here is Bjorn with the DRS heading towards turn 11. A good opportunity on the penultimate lap, but declines the chance to make the overtake, saving it all for the very end of the race. I'm just wondering if anyone has fitted those soft tyres and is going to go for a fastest lap at the end. Ricky and Marco have both fitted soft tyres. Fastest lap currently lies with Unsku 1:18.5. That's their target anyway to pick up those extra points. But beyond then, this is there's going to be 3 major opportunities to take the lead on the final lap of the race. I think he's going to leave it all to turn 11, but that means getting through the dreaded chicane perfectly. So following in the wheel tracks of Merckx, 1/4 of a second away. Make that 3/10 now, and he's looking to try and use as much electrical energy as possible on this back stretch, I guess, between turn 7 exit and turn 11 braking zone. That's where they're going to be looking to spend everything they've got left. Ricky puts a 1:17.3 in to take the new fastest lap. I think that will likely be insurmountable from the drivers at the front. This then, the last remaining opportunity for Bjorn as he gets down to within 0.2 of a second. He goes for it, but he just can't get the overlap. And it looks like Merckx, all being well, and keeping it calm and steady, might well take Grand Prix victory number 11 of the season. Coming out of the final corner, Merckx takes the win in Australia and the championship trophy as well. Bjorn de Boer in second place, just 1/4 of a second, one of the closest finishes we've had. Speedy is ecstatic in third to finish ahead of debuting Unsku today. What a race for Merckx overall there, and what a season as well. He has from 12, I think from 12 attempts, he's won 11 Grand Prix and come second once. That is Sticky in fifth place, completing a good points haul for McLaren, much better than the sprint performance overall. And then Chuck Norris in sixth. Ricky comes through, and I'm assuming will remain with the fastest lap of the race in seventh, as Marco is going to try and take that fastest lap away, but I think not quite succeed. He's going to cross the line. Our last finisher in eighth. But it is about Merckx today. What a performance. What a driver. The merciless Merckx takes not only the win, but also the championship. And rightly so, gets driver of the day. That was a bit of a last to first challenge situation already packaged neatly for Merckx. And hopefully we'll get something similar in Suzuka. But he'll be wanting to take the number of wins record, I would imagine. And a very familiar sight for our drivers as we see Merckx on the top step with the biggest silverware at the Australian Grand Prix. Now, what a world tour it has been for Sauber, for Merckx, and his team personnel here. Merckx left the session already, and he is done. Maybe he's got another race to go and dominate. I'm not sure. But awesome champagne to drink. Down the hatch for Merckx. Great stuff to see. Phenomenal once again from him. And we'll take you through the provisional finishing order. But by my calculations, that makes Merckx our new champion in our Season 3 here at the International Racing League. That is, of course, if the game will actually let me have the final results. It hasn't been letting me have them recently, has it? I think we might just please wait all the way to the lobby. But I will do my best to stay with us. I'm really appreciative for everybody who takes time to like the video and to subscribe to the channel. Make clips of your favourite bits as well. That's always fantastic. Leave a comment, your favourite moment. But thank you so much to everybody for watching. Thank you for the opportunity to commentate over this fantastic league this season. We have just the constructors to fight over, says Ricky, at the end of the season. He says it was an awful race. Had some good highlights, Ricky, but yeah, I know exactly how you're feeling. I completely sympathise. But we'll be back for a showdown in Suzuka for the season finale, same time next week. For now, though, thanks to everyone for watching, and we will catch you on the next race day.